This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. I wanted to do a video about the ES335, and I kind of had it in mind that I feel like this is one of Gibson's best designs. I was going to say, is it the best design? But I think for me, the Les Paul just about wins out. Now, what you might, or I haven't looked into this too much. I'm not a Gibson expert, of course, at all. I'm not an expert in anything. But the ES335 actually came out in 1958, which was later than the Les Paul. To me, this looks like a guitar that, you'd presume kind of looks like it would have predated the Les Paul, but that's actually not the case. And the other thing about the ES335 is that, interestingly enough, when you hear about what Ted McCarthy had to say about it, he kind of calls it a fake. The idea with this guitar was that it was designed to look like an acoustic guitar, but not, and that is what's kind of going on. They've got a solid piece of stuff down the middle where you've got your center block, and then they built around it kind of the wings of the guitar, right? And that was something I think that Les Paul had designed or come up with as well. But it's kind of an interesting hodgepodge of a guitar, which basically ends up being like a solid body thing with two feedback chambers on it. The ES335, I think, to play unplugged is fairly inspiring, and I think for me a Casino is slightly more inspiring in a sense, because it's more acoustic, because it's an actual full acoustic, right? But the ES335 is that sort of halfway between Les Paul and a Casino, I guess, kind of, right? It's kind of Adam Levy as well that kind of nudged me in this direction, because I think Adam Levy is obviously, but primarily an ES335 player, and I think I've said this before as well, when you see an ES335, you don't necessarily have much of an idea about the sort of sound that is going to come out of it, right? It could be an indie band, it could be Eric Johnson playing something on it, could even be Dave Grohl playing an ES335 type guitar, or Tom DeLonge or someone like that, right? It doesn't scream a certain style of music, and for that reason I think it's a pretty versatile thing. The only time I've used this thing live was on a jazz gig. Works really well for that. Better actually for me than my actual ES165, which I found feeds back too much. So if you're playing with a drummer, very hard to get a full hollow body to work. The ES335 doesn't have that issue. But as I said, unplugged, kind of inspiring. Obviously, I'm not playing authentic here. This is a Tokai. My favourite ES335 that I've played, I think, is a Greco Super Reel that belongs to Tony up the road. I've also played a Gibson ES335 of Paul's. Had that on the channel. I think that was one of the first kind of Gibsons that I had on the channel. Yeah, but just a really beautiful instrument. There's not a lot of stuff that you can't do on an ES335. I want to try and actually gig it, I think, because I just think it's a very cool looking guitar that is pretty versatile. I think I want to top wrap this as well. But I did find a really cool article on guitar.com kind of going through some of the history of the ES335, as well as it had some original kind of prices and stuff like that in there, which I thought were really kind of interesting. So yeah, 1958, still just as relevant today, I think. Great little guitars. And this is a Tokai with the nitro finish. And I would say that this, to me, seems about as good as a Gibson, as well as being incredibly good looking. But yeah, the ES335, I need to play mine more. I put it out on a stand for that reason, because it's like, well, I think it's a great instrument. Really can do anything from jazz to full-on kind of shred stuff. Stop staring at me. So yeah, I wanted to do a little video on it. I was using Helix Native in the intro there for my tones. As often, you can jump up into the Gumroad if you want to check that out. And since I mentioned Adam Levy, there's a TrueFire course, a couple of them, with Adam Levy, which I think are really useful, kind of jazz folky stuff, really, really chilled vibes on that. And of course, Adam Levy has toured with Norah Jones for years, so amazing, tasteful playing. So check out his course on TrueFire. You can use the code JNC40 for 40% off of that, or if you use the All Access Pass, you can use JNC100 to get $100 off that All Access Pass, where you could check out stuff from Adam Levy, Jeff McElwain, Andy Timmons, Tim Lurch, Tim Miller, all of the great players that were on there. I'll catch you in another video soon. Thanks to TrueFire, and cheers. Surprise!